long. Let me kind of give you the skinny of how this guy works. So aside from my mask, you guys can see me in that picture, right? My skin tone should be orange, red, and yellow, which means I'm the warmest thing in the picture.
Right.
Everything around me should be blue and black or somewhere close to it. So if we're going to take me out of the picture, it's going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's going to find the warmest spot again and then fluctuate based on the differences in the temperature around whatever's inside the screen.
Oh, that's really cool.
So this guy is amazing. I have caught, it's not always super exciting as far as every single night I catch something with it. I'll say in the past 8 or 9 months that I've had it, I have 2 or 3 really solidified pieces of evidence. And most of those are thermodynamics in reverse. So what does that mean? Temperature can't be generated, right? It has to be balanced. So if there's a warm spot generating and it goes up by 15 degrees or so in like a 5 to 10 second time span, it's obviously pulling a cold spot somewhere else because it has to balance. So I have those on recordings, and then I actually have 2 spiritual beings coming through that weren't supposed to be there. I'll show you guys as we go through the night. But yeah, it's already recording, just so you know. So you're going to get this full recording back.
Okay.
And it does record audio. So we have 2 points of audio at this point. Okay, so that red square means that it's recording. You're going to keep it horizontal for me all night long. And you're going to hold it out. That way you can watch it. And then if you accidentally hit a button or that red square turns to a circle, let me know. I'll have to splice some video together. You kind of turn into an AV tech when you're doing this job professionally. So there's a lot that goes involved with it. So literally you're going to be a cameraman. You don't have to watch it all night, but hopefully I catch something in the morning based on
try to hold it up like
You definitely want to keep it horizontal though. What happens with that is I send it over to YouTube and then back to my website, so all your evidence is in one place. And YouTube doesn't like the flippy flop. That's why I say hold it horizontal. Of course, I'm going to pull an EMF meter out just so that we have a point of reference. I'm sure you guys
I've used that exact one.
Okay, so I'm going to keep this out because you're going to get something way more fun than this.
Okay.
I usually give that to a kid. Just to keep them busy. Watch the blinky lights.
We don't have any of those in this. Yeah, watch the blinky lights. That's perfect.
He's usually my first point of reference. This spirit box is amazing, and I hope that you guys get the gist of this. They're relatively inexpensive compared to
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so this guy is so cool. Like,
that's a nicer looking one than I've seen.
Now, this one, I did a lot of research specific for the tour, and because I do my investigations, and I'm a tourist just like you guys. When I go into a museum or a haunted location, I don't go around poking questions. Most people don't even know what's happening. So here's how this guy works. So I'm going to set it up, and it's going to record the entire sweep for us.
Okay.
The cool thing about it is it's not going to record any outside noise, and it'll even record the sweep on mute. So it's going to save it to an SD card. Obviously, I put that SD card, I compress it so it fits on the website, and then I send it back to you guys with audio markers of things that I caught.
Okay.
So now, this isn't your straight up white noise like you're going to use in the professional investigations or something you see on TV.
Okay.
It is slowed down. You can change the speed.
Oh my gosh, really? Oh, how cool.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is because I want you to tell me what the DJs, the song lyrics, and the commercials say. Now it's going to be somewhat quick. So it's going to be, what color is my shirt? And it's going to say, the light turned green for the cars to go. My jacket is green. So it's going to catch some extra words possibly. It happens all the time.
Right, yeah,
So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy started.
That's always been the most interesting part.
So when I'm doing like my own investigations for my podcast, this guy's on mute and in my pocket. I don't even look at it till later. I'm not using this as a live, Q&A session. We're going to tonight.
Yeah.
But for my own, like, whatever.
So it doesn't even pick up the rubbing in your pocket kind of thing.
Nope.
Jeez.
It's amazing. I love this little guy. Plus, it's small and it has a flashlight.
Now, just for kicks, I'm kind of curious. Is it like in the $200-300 range, like for cost, or is it like way?
$89.
Are you kidding me?
And that's the full price. I think I got this one for $69.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's crazy.
At the top of your data page, of course, this is my bread and butter. There's links, affiliate links that go to the company that made this is called Ghost Stop.
Okay.
So
I've heard of them.
Of course, I get an affiliate fee if you use my link.
Okay.
But $69, $79 is usually on sale for it. You can buy an SD card cheaper from like Best Buy or Walmart. And it's a micro, and I just take it out, put it in its little reader, throw it in a computer, and I listen to it on my computer. It does have a headphone jack. The flashlight is pretty cool. I mean, it's not super bright, but it does have all of those extra functions, and it's rechargeable.
I know people that have paid more for that, way more, and it was
I love it.
Not near as quality as whatever you've got.
So
wow.
the big thing for me is I go through batteries like crazy with everything that I do every single day.
Yeah.
Especially in the summertime. Like I have a battery case at home that's just chock full, and I only keep what I need to restore everything on me.
Yeah.
So I just replenish it once a week.
Okay.
This guy's rechargeable.
Nice.
So
oh my gosh, that's really nice.
one button you need to handle because it's already recording for us. There's a little turn wheel at the top.
Okay.
If you hit the button by accident, you shut it off. I'll have to splice the audio together. It's kind of hard to push anyway. So you're just looking for the wheel. So obviously when I say Spirit Box is up in between stories, that's when you'll turn it up. There'll be times where we actually separate by maybe 50 to 75 yards, and we could still see each other in safe spaces.
So the wheel is here.
Yep, that's it.
It's crossing through the radio stations. Yeah.
Yep, you can see it right there on the screen.
So if you say turn it up, do you want to like up all the way, or
No,
kinda
it's just audible so you can hear
audible?
it. Trust me, I draw
Otherwise,
enough
we keep it
attention
turned
from all the
down.
other tour guides. So let me show
Yeah.
you what I'm going to be using on my phone.
Okay.
The first thing I'm going to be using is, it's another Spirit Box. It
I
gets,
have that one.
do you have the upgraded version?
A little bit. I
So-
had purchased a couple.
So this one gives me 9,000 words.
I have like 5.
Yeah, the original one I think gives 3, the free version. But the cool thing about this is that it's going to save all those words, as you already know.
It's been intelligent for me from time to time.
I love
liked
this
it.
thing. What I tell my folks on my tours, I'm clearing this out so you guys have a fresh list because my last tour already has theirs. What's that word is giving me? Palestinian. Interesting. But anyway, 80% of this is bullshit. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
And that's
And I feel like you can kind of get to know when it is and when it isn't.
right. So when I get something like the word calico, and I'm talking about Anne Bonny and her love affair with Calico Jack, yes, that's a direct reference.
It's a direct
and that's when I
reference,
give you guys the verifiable link of where I got my information from. So again, my gimmick is honesty. I'm never going to lie to you. I'm not going to make stuff up. So the second thing I do have a backup EMF on my phone. It's not as sensitive as the K2s, but it does work.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
This guy is a reverse Spirit Box. So how this one works is they claimed it's called Paranormal Hauntings by Brian Holloway. Again,
Really?
all of the apps and everything I use is at the top.
Okay. Yeah.
At your data page. So it said it was FM radio stations being flipped backwards. It's impossible. I'm a communications major.
Okay.
You can't take live FM feed and flip it backwards. So what did I do? I have enough software. I threw it in. I flipped it forwards. I wanted to know what it said. Who is this? Where is this coming from? It's literally a loop of a man and a woman saying random words. I recorded it for over an hour. And I wrote down every single word, just so I can see what it was.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it up so you guys get the gist of it. It's going to sound like gibberish, and then I'm going to play an EVP for you that I caught with it.
Okay.
If that's fair. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
So complete
Kind
gibberish.
of speeding. Yeah.
I mean, it makes absolute no sense. I'm going to shut it off so I can play that other one for you.
Jeez.
So this one I caught while talking about a woman from England, and I'm going to give you the story of why it makes sense. So what you're going to hear is the EVP and then me repeating it and saying rewind by 5 seconds, because that's what's going to be on your audio, because that's the only way we can record it.
Oh my god.
Okay, you guys both caught that.
Yeah,
Nice.
totally.
All right, so here's what happened. Your Spirit Box told me, I'll fix you. Baked beans breakfast was caught in real time, and that word list gave me the word tea.
So you
All
have-
within like 3 minutes. I'll fix you baked beans breakfast and tea. Talking about a woman from England in the colonial times.
That would be very fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did not know. That's why I chuckled. Like, what the hell's baked beans breakfast? I didn't know. One of my guests told me. They're like, we're talking about a woman from England, right? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, they eat baked beans for breakfast. I'm like, shut the front door.
No, I didn't even know that. Yeah, but that makes sense.
So I
Wow,
have to
and
learn
tea.
things constantly to be able to keep up with.
What actually made you come to this particular city? Because of the deep history that, you know, that's
on
one.
the air,
That's
but
one attraction.
Get
to
away
me.
from my ex-wife.
Okay.
She lives in Myrtle Beach. I got the new life down here.
Okay,
And I
okay.
was actually a retail manager for over 20 years, making well over 6 figures, and I walked away to do this.
Okay.
So
wow.
I'm working on my master's degree. I graduate this summer.
Nice.
And
nice.
I start my PhD program hopefully in the fall, where I'll be. The PhD program is called Creativity, where I get to pick my dissertation. So all of the evidence you guys are collecting for me is going towards that, because I'll be studying the
wow.
paranormal, and I'll be a doctor of ghosts when I'm done.
Okay.
So
Where's this at that you're studying?
it is a, I can't remember. It's in Pennsylvania. I want to say Philadelphia.
Okay.
So the residencies, I'll have to go up there twice a year.
Right. Okay.
So,
Wow,
but yeah,
that's exciting. I've not heard of that.
it's weird because there's
okay.
nobody, like they're actually even debating letting me apply because of my field. So they're like, you have to have so many hours in. I'm like, I've got the hours in. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
I got the recorded data to show
Oh my
it.
gosh.
But anyway, so of course we start here
Wow.
for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
This place used to be called Big John's. You've never been here before, so
Okay.
I can lie to you all night, but I won't.
No.
But Big John was a football player for the 1947 Giants, and he owned this place. It was named after him, and he used to sit in the back of the bar. And when did you guys get into town? Just today?
Like
Yeah.
4:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Am I your only ghost store?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not here long. We leave Saturday sometime, so yeah. I fly out. He drives. Because I worked last week and he came down earlier than me to go to Hilton Head. And that was
Well, I
like a car.
asked because we have a Citadel nearby, and a lot of people come down here to come see the Citadel because we're a big military town.
Yeah.
So with that being said, those cadets would come over for a drink, and this was back in the 70s, by the way. But Big John was sitting in the back of the bar and told the bartender if the cadets were of age or not. Tell him cut them off or get them out of here.
Okay.
He knew everybody. So one night, two guys come in. They're not of age. John tells them to get the hell out. They leave, pretty mad. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar.
Really?
When John sees what's going on, they get into a little rough and tumble. They're on the ground. A couple shots were fired. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet ricochets and lands in the wall. John gets up, goes back to the bar, and looks at the bartender and says, "Get me a beer. Get him an ambulance." Nobody died in that story. It's the bullet hole that haunts the place.
Wow.
It's people that sit in the front of the bar where the bullet hole, I don't know if they're fixing that bullet hole or filling it in, but it wasn't with the last bar owner. But people can get dizzy, nauseous. I usually give this warning on purpose.
Wow.
This is the reason why I start here. It's because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect people. You guys are obviously in the field. I don't
Yeah.
have to tell you that these things can
We've
happen.
had some physical things,
Mm-hmm.
mildly, definitely. It's been creepy at times, but yeah.
It can be, and that's why I bring it up. It's not a scare tactic.
So you have that sixth sense of experiencing things that not everyone does or taps into.
There are certain areas that we go to tonight where the EMF is really high, or can be really high. I don't want to say that it is all the time because it's haunted. Who knows? But if anything, if like that starts to happen with either one of you, just let me know. We'll move on. Get you to a safe space. Get you some water. Do whatever we got to do.
Okay.
First
Very
time
cool.
somebody passed out on me, I was in CPR class the next day.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's not the first time.
Mm.
I've had witches come on this tour and just say no, they can't finish.
Really? Really?
Just too much for them. So you got to remember, they're way more sensitive than we are. So it is what it is. Let's not talk about our health anymore. So we had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that, that's any tour you take with Charleston, they talk about it because it deals a lot with our building structure.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
Really?
Nope. I'm still trying to learn about the history here.
Okay,
So.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
So the earthquake we had is a big one because it's Charleston. We don't get earthquakes.
Right.
So some of our buildings now have earthquake bolts in them, which is something Charlestonians invented to keep the buildings together better because we're just not built for that. We're built for flooding. We're not built for
Did
earthquakes.
you know about that?
Hmm.
So, but allegedly this is where the first death occurred. I don't have proof or verifiable anything of it, but the mantle, in the story that I'm told from multiple other tour guides, is that the mantling broke off and struck somebody in the head, and his ghost is said to be seen right here on East Bay Street.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's cool.
it's just
okay. Wow.
June. I'm gonna have to look up when that earthquake was. I want to say it was October.
That's interesting.
I could be wrong. Again, I don't know everything about Charleston.
That's where you kind of check to see is that an intelligent comment there?
Yeah. So, and I got away in June, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But yeah, let's go see.
I love that app. Yeah, that's the one I always talk about.
So I have obviously the full bag of tricks. So
Well, sorry if I seem so extra energized. I'm just really excited.
And when you got started with telling me that you do this stuff on your own.
Yeah. I probably should have mentioned it to you, but
Yeah, and the first time I did it, we did it right unheated, abandoned,
Oh my gosh.
50,000 square foot place
we were in the most
in
vulnerable
January or
situation.
February.
Some
It
of
was
our
February.
rescues have been tough elements, you know. But yeah, we were in where it was freezing our butts off.
So I normally train people here. History here. So it gives my newbies that aren't used to this type of equipment a great place to practice. So let me give you the skinny of what is happening. First off, this is where we keep the horses for your ferry rides. They are in the back of the barn. So those windows aren't open, they can't hear us. So your spirit box you need to keep to an audible level to you only. Excuse me, sorry I talk a lot. You guys got to shut me up.
No, okay.
But the history of this place, this is where we kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston.
Okay.
So when I teach people about spirit boxes, and I'm going to kind of give you guys the same skinny because you might learn some different tactics. So spirit boxes are obviously a way to communicate, right? We don't want to use yes or no questions. All your TV shows of, is somebody here? If you hear the word no, first off, that means somebody's here.
Right. Yeah, there's
It's like,
something still, yeah.
If you hear the word houses come through on a DJ station, you know, a DJ says the word houses are for sale, you think you heard yes. Because S and O, two of the most common sounds in our phonetic language. Okay, I'm an English guy, I study this stuff. So I stay away from yes or no questions. You can always rephrase it.
Right.
So just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to start you off with something simple here because you've never used this device, and maybe teach you a new tactic. I want to start you off with something you already know. So we can all agree that the barn is red, right?
Yes.
So what color is the barn? Hopefully you hear the color red. There's no deviating away from that. After 2, 3, 4 tries of not getting the answer red specific that you're waiting for, try a new question. What's inside the barn? Now, I just told you that there was horses in here, right? But they were draft horses that delivered milk. And they also carry carriages currently. So they might give you any one of, like you just opened up a whole new can of worms. Ghost hunting is really about putting clues together and figuring out what the message is.
Exactly.
So, and the reason why, like, we got another dairy product. So maybe they delivered milk and eggs.
That's
Yeah.
intriguing.
Do you see where I'm putting the clues together?
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to look it up.
But that's an interesting.
Yeah,
word during
but it
this.
seems
That's
it
not-
seems reasonable.
Yeah, it seems like
I've had the word
reasonable.
calcium come up before. That's much harder to say than milk. We never
Right,
know.
right. Oh my gosh.
But with the basic spirit box, like your next place that we go to, it's very active. It would be my grand finale if I were to have one. But I'm going to give you some questions to ask and provoke with.
Okay.
That will. I'm not going to give you the answers. Only the spirit box is going to give you the answers.
We'll see what happens with it.
Right.
Yeah.
That way you're not getting a suggestive read in your head. Now, I just gave you red and horses and draft and milk and all that stuff. It says and sodium, so maybe they delivered salt too.
Which would have been something back in the day.
Yeah, bags of salt. So with your thermal imaging camera, let me give you guys the video real quick just so you guys can see
And
what.
you said this should be a little bit audible to me?
Yeah, you can turn it up.
Okay.
So I do want to definitely show you guys that video just so you kind of get a gist of what you're looking for on there. And this is the next location that we're going to.
Now, is all of this showing as red and yellow because of the lighting?
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of
What you want to try to do, Bob, is you want to try to keep somebody in view at all times.
Oh, to have some kind of measure.
You will need a base of what's happening. Do you see how everything fluctuated with when you got her in a picture?
Okay.
So, videos. Let me bring that up. And I'm going to let you guys explore the lot. Like, we're going to stay within the lot, but I'm going to let you get kind of used
So
to
this
that.
lot at one point must have been something.
Well, you have to remember,
more
we're also
than-
near Big John's. So I get Big John's
So there could be
teammates.
some carryover.
I get a stable boy. Stuff I can't prove. The stuff with Big John I can't prove. I've had Tom Landry come through. I'm not a sports guy. I had to look him up. I
The
had the
name's
word,
very familiar, though. Yeah.
I had the word coach, Tom, and then cowboy come up from 3
Really?
different spirit boxes. And I'm
Okay.
like, something's got to mean something here.
Right. Yeah.
I look up Tom, 1947 New York Giants, Tom Landry, Google Tom Landry, coach for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That's the kind of stuff I live for. All right, so this orange right here is a wall.
Okay.
You're gonna see 2 living people walk past the wall. Do you see the 2 people? So, did you see them? Okay, go back. So there's gonna be 2 heads just above the wall.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
so those are living people. That's a good baseline. So here's why I tell you to keep somebody in view at all times. So this guy over here is going to be in view, but you're going to see 2 dead people go above the wall now. 1, 2.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I've had mechanics and firefighters and all the people that use that on their day job, like try to analyze this for me. They're like, Nick, it's not a
Okay.
car, it's not anything. It would have been the opposite
Okay.
side of the road.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
you've caught 2
gosh.
dead people. So we're really looking for those black and blue spots to start moving on their
Okay.
own.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty. That gives me chills. That's
love it.
fun. Very fun.
And again, ghost hunting isn't scary. This isn't
No,
been, and
no,
I get a lot of people, I don't want to be touched. And look, this is about science. So,
I mean, there's parts of certain places that I've been in that I couldn't go in because it was known to be something possession would happen, and I
Sure.
would have a terrible sinking feeling, a horrible feeling come over me. And I honestly, I don't think it was because of what was preconceived in my head. It was legitimate. Everyone was feeling pretty sick, with whatever. And but most of the time it's like an enjoyable, fun experience and just
So
collecting communication of
Now, granted,
somebody.
everything I use here is mechanical, has batteries of some sort.
Yeah.
I use the non-mechanical at home, Ouija boards, and somebody keeps suggesting dowsing rods to me.
Those are interesting.
Yeah,
I
we had
experienced it
something
for the
with
first time, back
that.
in August, I think it was. Yeah,
I guess until I experience it for myself, like I just don't see
it
the
was a good
justification in
experience,
that.
but yeah, I don't know enough about them, but it was
But I mean, I do
impressive.
have spirit boards that I have and I use regularly.
Have you ever sat in an empty, dark room that you know is considered to be haunted and used one of those laser lights that kind of it splits all over the room, and you
I
can,
have those in my
so if
bag.
something walks into your purview, it's going to be an interrupted,
Yeah, I have 2 of them in my bag. They go out to guests when
And
I
a
have
lot
a
of
group
times
10.
those will die on us, and then we'll take them back to the station, base camp kind of area, and they're fine. It's wild.
So some of
Yeah.
them will burn up, just to kind of give you a debunking process.
Yeah.
I have one that if you hold it for more than 5 minutes, it starts to fade or it will die completely, but you wait 10 minutes for it to cool down, and it's back up again.
Interesting.
Ghost Stop, the same company that make yours, they have a grid. The cool thing about the grid is it's not just dots. It's actual squares. So if you catch something with a picture or video, you can put it in 3D software and get a full 3D apparition of what you caught. So really cool stuff. I usually give both of those lasers to one person so I know like where they're at. I'm like, just don't crush your streams, Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have different thermometers in here to prove or debunk what's going on with the camera.
Okay.
That goes to a person. I have the regular SB7 spirit box.
Yeah.
It's not recorded.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I only go to groups of 10. Like all the other tours, quote unquote tourism people,
They're huge.
they're allowed to go to 20.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to go to 20. I won't do it. Somebody calls me and I already got 9 people, I close it off.
Yeah.
Because you can only book a minimum of 2. So I close it off. My wife's like, you could have gotten 2 more tickets. I'm like, yeah, but they would have been bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
First off, it's too many people.
right.
Even going to 11. Like to me, that's a lot. We even want to have groups of 10 in October.
It is a lot.
Man,
Yeah.
summertime, I'm crazy too.
I bet it is crazy.
Go play with your spirit box. Get to learn how that thing moves
Okay.
around. Just kind of, we're gonna do like maybe 2 laps here. I'm gonna do my own little spirit box thing, so you guys have more audio to listen to
Okay.
than just your own stories.
Okay.
Those are for me later.
I'm gonna go up over here, I think.
Who is here?
Okay. Where do I go?
His is going off too.
What?
His is going off too.
Really? I'm using the same app right now, so. It's got the name Monica. Does Monica have any relevance to you?
What's that?
Does the name Monica have any relevance? I've never had that come up before. And the meter on mine was going off pretty significantly at one point, but I just it's interesting.
There's another story that I don't want to tell because it's relatively recent. I'm going to look up to see if that person's wife was named Monica.
Okay. Like I've never had. I kind of get used to some of the words that come up on yours. It's definitely a new thing that's kind of going on.
I did get the number 20. That was Big John's jersey.
Okay. Oh, I didn't hold up with it.
So I heard the number 20 on the reverse spirit box. That was Big John's jersey number, his first jersey number. I want
Okay.
to say his
That's
second
pretty
jersey
cool.
number was 40.
Yeah, yeah,
All right,
yeah.
so you guys got the gist of what your devices do, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys ready to go learn some real history
Sure,
now?
Yeah.
totally.
All right, let's
Yeah,
do
we're
it.
good.
You guys are pretty hip to this.
What's that building up in the background? Is that a bar up there in the upper?
Charleston. I know Charleston's this gorgeous city, and I take you guys to parking lots. But these parking lots have historical significance. This is actually the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site.
Okay.
So this is, we're talking colonial times. The video that I showed you and Baked Beans Breakfast occurred here. So who were Eliza and Charles? They had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles, and the son and nephew were signers of our Constitution. So obviously the son was raised here, so pretty big deal for us. However, we just had an election, and I hate politics. So let's move on to Eliza. She's way more interesting. So Eliza, colonial times, keep all of that in mind. Her father was dying over in England. That's where she's from, obviously Baked Beans. And he wanted all his kids home. She didn't want to go. So she decided to marry Charles at a very young age. There was a big age gap between them. And it didn't give her citizenship, but it pretty much solidified that she's not going anywhere. So Dad gets better, obviously, and Eliza and Charles are doing really well. And Dad starts sending her gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Eliza was a botanist, so she had a garden right here on the grounds. So the indigo plant is a pretty big deal for us because our rice plantations were going downhill, and we needed another cash crop to kind of make up for that.
Right.
She saved not only Charleston, but all 13 colonies by using Dad's contacts to sell indigo overseas. So indigo makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. We still use it. So it's a pretty big deal. It all started right here, but the cash crop had to be moved. Obviously, you can't start a whole crop here. It had to be moved to a plantation, which is over in Mount Pleasant, probably about 15, maybe 18 minutes from here. So they had a lot of property. The Pinckneys were a pretty prominent family. There's still a lot of Pinckneys here in town. But here's some weird things about Eliza that you can ask on your spirit box. So first off, let's take a look at her EMF. If it's going crazy. So I always look for patterns with this guy. So if I can see patterns, it's normally from a man-made object.
Like
so cell phones, wiring underground, parking meters, those kind of things. Like right now, it's kind of giving me a little bit of a pattern, but there's literally nothing underneath us. They have never done an archaeological dig here, and they never will. They're going to put a commercial hotel here. It's already supposed to be here, but COVID obviously delayed that. And I was kind of glad because now I can continue on with my investigation of this location. But this will normally go in sync with the blinking light on the back of that building over there. That's a restaurant. So sometimes it's blinking real weak like it is. Other times it's like a disco ball. But if you hold this guy up, like you're gonna take a selfie with it,
Right.
it'll pulse here first and then pulse there about a split second later.
Yeah.
So again, I have it on video. It's usually about 2 frames. It depends. But sometimes that light's not blinking at all, and I still have a reading. So I never know. Like that's kind of my barometer of how this place is gonna go. But a couple weird facts about Eliza. She was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. Yeah, good job. So both Elizas go by their maiden name.
It's got the word erase, and I've never seen that before.
What is it?
Erase.
Erase.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
So I haven't even looked at mine since I walked in here. But the nice thing is it saves the list. So with that being said, both go by their maiden name. You can ask what the maiden name is. They start with L. That's all I'm going to give you. So if you listen to the square box that I gave you, hopefully something will come up. I have this guy. They're sitting so nice and snug. Let's see here. Try to stay away from a. Go ahead.
And so in between, like the.
Yeah.
So when you ask a question, you're going to probably
But I'm also looking for the radio station to give me an answer. Think of it as Bumblebee from Transformers.
Yeah.
They're using the radio to tell us a word or a phrase. And I don't get a whole lot of disembodied voices on there. I mean, I do this nightly, so
Yeah.
I might get maybe 1 or 2 a month.
Okay.
But I'm really listening just for those phrases. So if something comes up, and if it's like go to this jewelry store, K Jewelers, every kiss ends with K, I know it's debunked. I don't need anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I write down everything else that I hear, it's a 50-50 shot. There's a message in there somewhere.
Okay.
So it's again, it is what it is. Sometimes it's there, sometimes there's nothing there.
Right.
Just depends. Stay away from asking about her children. There's a tragedy there. If you do that, normally all activity for the rest of the night will stop. I don't know what it is, but Eliza has that much influence. So don't ask about the kids. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death, though. So you can ask how old she was when she died. Hopefully you get that answer. How she died, where she buried, where she died, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, and that was something that I learned from doing the investigations. It wasn't in it. Yeah, speak to her directly, just like you normally would at your own investigations. You can ask what happened to the mansion. Again, you can just explore the lot. What I will tell you, Bob, is people get a little weird about cameras in their cars. So if you see somebody coming by to go to their car, or they remotely started it, you're just holding a cell phone at that point. People start screaming, kind of thing. And I don't know. Again, they obviously know that we have a camera, but it's just one of those things. And we're not in a dangerous spot by any means.
Okay.
People just get weird about it.
Yeah.
He's like, ah. So
Check that out,
if I
yeah.
was a car thief, though, that would be my tool of choice. Why? Because I can see which cars have been here the longest, based on the heat signature.
The heat signature.
So again, they don't know that, but
Right.
all they see is a camera.
It's a cell phone, it looks like from here. Okay.
So here's what I'll also tell you is I'm going to ask questions on my own.
Okay.
But I don't tell you what those are. So if you hear weird things, turn around and say, "Oh, great. Yeah, that's what Eliza's favorite thing is." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the answer can go anywhere. I do that often to prove the paranormal to people.
Right. Okay.
So again, you guys explore, I'll
Yeah.
explore, and see
Cool.
what we come up with.
Learn a lot. Okay. So Eliza, can you tell us what your maiden name is? Bob here this evening in South Carolina, visiting a wonderful historical establishment. We're standing, in the area of the mansion?
Yes.
It used to be here.
Yes, what happened to the mansion, Eliza?
Can you tell us anything about what happened to the mansion? Can you tell us anything about yourself that you would like us to know? is your last name, Eliza? Your maiden last name?
What was this said?
Is there any other questions? I asked about the U.S. president. That attended her funeral. Who was that?
Yeah. Hey Eliza, what brought you to Charleston?
Yeah, what brought you and your family to Charleston, South Carolina? Can you tell us the name of the street corner that the mansion was on? There used to be. I have that a corner here. Are you able to pick him up in your camera?
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah. Something blowing in the air. Interesting, huh?
Like a dog bone.
It's like the number one, I think. Like a party that let go of a balloon accidentally.
Mm-hmm. Hmm?
It's got the word boat. I've never had that word pop up on here before. Isn't that kind of funny?
Did you come over here on a boat, Eliza? That's a yes or no question. I'm sorry. How did?
Getting anything on there?
Not so far, but I just got the word boat that popped up, and I've never seen that before either.
Okay. I've seen boat on the set before. The only word I've gotten was rabbit,
Really?
and I can't seem to get anything
I've not
else
gotten
out
any
of it.
other, yeah. I've been listening closely and
Weird. I mean, the EMF is going crazy.
yeah, I saw that from over in the other. Seem to be going crazy over here, right?
I had it over here, and then
And over
in
that
that
corner.
spot where I was just standing.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet, I think.
Yeah. I'm really surprised, but then again, my barometer is pretty weak.
Okay.
Word mission.
That is
And I also look at rabbit as maybe mispronouncing, is your full name Robert?
yeah.
I don't usually do stretches. It's not something that just, oh, no, there it is. It says Rabbit. This is your name.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do that.
But,
It is very curious. What's mission. So I'll be interested to see like what comes up with that. Considering the evening was so high. So the answers to the question that which question were you asking?
I've asked, what brought you here to, specifically to Eliza, what brought you here to Charleston?
Okay.
That's the regular president.
What was the name of the famous former U.S. president?
Washington.
Nothing happened at that time, but Ashley's kind of like in. What street corner are we standing on over here?
Okay.
What was another thing I asked? I forgot.
It's weird. Like last summer, just to give you an example, almost
Okay.
every time I came in here, I would hear a "Hello, Nick," every single time.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I was here on a nightly basis. I'm like, "Hello, Nick."
okay.
So I asked her tonight to do the same thing, and I don't normally do that.
Yeah, can you say hello or something?
Yeah, can you put my name on the box that I'm holding? I don't use the word device. I don't say cell phone.
Say
You know, it's
box,
colonial
something
times. I always say
familiar,
box. Especially, I'll give the light. So I'll say, give it to the one with the red light or the blue light. That's another nice thing about the differentiation.
Yeah.
Something like I took a drink of water. Can you tell me what I'm drinking?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So things like that that I can prove.
Yes, yeah.
And kind of go along with that. If it's
Okay.
what brought you here, I can kind of prove that based on some of the stories. But I'm always
Yeah,
looking for those
that's
things
a
that I
tough
can find on
Try to
Britannica.com or, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something that's
yeah.
very valid. And that's just kind of my,
I did ask, what is your maiden name?
oh,
So
did you hear anything out of that?
no, did not.
Okay, so the one who planted the indigo was Eliza Lucas Pinckney, and the former wife was Eliza Lamb, as in the animal,
L.
Lamb.
Okay.
So, and I'm only giving you questions that I've had answers to multiple times.
Okay.
Eliza died at the age of 70
Okay.
in Philadelphia. She was doing business up there at the age of 70. And we're talking colonial times, no such thing as a businesswoman, and that's where she died. And they also buried her there.
Okay.
So kind of gives you a gist of what space and time looks like. You know, she's buried up there, but visits us here. And she died from cancer that we know of.
Okay.
Because it's colonial times and based on reporting.
Hard to know exactly.
Yeah, very hard. Some sites will say specifically breast cancer, which is weird. But I don't know how they can get that defined.
definitely.
Specific.
So what kind of era are we talking about again?
The 1750s to 1790s. So again, the mansion caught fire in our Great Fire of 1861. Now, Charleston's had dozens of fires, but there was a big one that took out quite a bit of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the Great Fire of 1861. It was part of that.
Okay.
I usually ask how many kids did you have? The number of that is 4.
Okay.
Only one daughter. Sometimes I'll get the daughter's name. Sometimes I'll get the word letters because her and her daughter used to write letters back and forth.
Okay.
Quite a bit. So, I mean, I get a lot of evidence out of this place. So it just depends on what's going to come up with the Spirit Box audio.
Yeah.
Obviously, the regular audio to see if there's any, disembodied coming through.
Something else,
And then, of course, I always watch the video. Like, I skim it just to kind of see, like, how things are going for you on your end. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't expect people to catch things in real time. Even that video I showed you, I didn't catch that in real time. They called me to this corner because they thought they saw a shadow. Like, the girl was pretty sensitive to things. She's like, there's a shadow up here. And I'm like, I'm up here trying to debunk things. I'm like, a car came by and flashed through the light or something. And then I watched the video the next morning and I was like, whoa, they did see something.
Okay.
So what the video is me up there debunking it. So it was almost after the fact. It was several minutes after.
So there was really something.
There was really
some
something.
sort.
I caught shadow people here because I have a digital camera that'll go to a guest. That was actually over there by the opening of the parking lot there. Can't make it out because it looks like a brimmed hat. Of course, it's the brimmed hat man that shows up in every portrayal.
What should be appropriate if that, like people you don't see
1700s.
wearing brimmed
Well, it would have been
brimmed hats
slaves
normally.
too, because she did have servants here. So the mansion was where we're standing now, and then like we're actually standing where the garage was. Like they had a carriage for a garage for their carriage.
Okay.
And then her garden was lined up with that left tree going all the way across, and then the slave and servant quarters were in the back. People always want to go to the slave and servant quarters, but I can't prove anything there. Because
Has anyone ever been touched or felt something physical?
here,
Yeah,
or
just
on my tour?
on your tour.
I've had 2 people in 2 years
Okay.
that have had a little nudge.
Oh,
That's it.
Something, yeah.
And it was on something on them, like a purse, backpack, something along those lines.
That's tough to, yeah.
So I don't get a whole lot of like touchy-feely kind of stuff. And
Okay.
the stories that I go through, like there's nothing really like menacing.
Right.
You know, obviously I'm giving you a great history of the woman that, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the whole theme of the tour is it's not scary.
Right,
There's some deaths and murders and duels and that kind of thing, but nothing really like menacing. Like this guy claimed to come back and kill everybody. Like I'm not doing that here.
Yeah, that's not preferable.
Yeah. Well, it's not family friendly either.
No,
I mean, I get a lot of little kids on this tour.
Right.
They watch Ghost Adventures and they think I'm Zach or Nick and you know, they want to play with stuff.
Right.
So I need to show them the ropes. All right, so from here, we're actually going to walk up East Bay Street about 4 blocks. I think we have enough for the recording for me to at least review.
Okay.
We're going to go to Lodge Alley. If you're going to listen to that along the way, we're probably going to chat because we're such a small group.
So turn it down?
It's up to you. If you want to leave it up, you can and listen. But I'm usually listening for names, and I'll explain why when we get there. But you're in Charleston. You guys need to see some cobblestone streets for sure, and kind of get a little bit more history of our Charlestonian. Now you're going back to Hilton Head?
No, we're going to go back to our home.
Okay. And that's, you said you're originally from Ohio.
Yeah.
But you live where now?
We live in Huron, which is between Vermilion and Sandusky. A little town on Lake
so you guys
Erie.
are still in Ohio.
It's like 1 hour west of Cleveland.
Between Cleveland and Toledo.
Yeah, so I need to show you guys some sites. Come on, let's go look at them. Heck of a drive for just a short trip.
Oh.
That's what, a good 13, 14 hours for you?
It's like, I want to say it's...
No, 11, 12.
Is it okay?
Oh, it's fine.
Watch your step here, guys. 1 up, 3 down, and then there's another little strip spot right there.
It's from here. It's like 11 hours, I want to say. But I'm flying back. He's driving. Our schedules were a little different. Yeah, we want to come back there. This is just a chance for us to kind of get a little introduction, look through to town, and, you know.
We were just in, like, the older neighborhood, like Ansonboro and Radcliffe Borough neighborhood.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now we're moving into more of, like, the commercial end of it.
Okay.
When I say commercial, it's still the old buildings.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not a whole lot of brand new construction down here. Great candy shop, by the way. They actually have things in there you can't find any other place. So this is our...
Is that the slave market?
They call it the slave market, but it's a misnomer. Slaves were never actually sold here.
Yeah, I remember reading that. But... semi-college town because it's a university here?
We actually have several colleges.
Okay.
So it is definitely a college. That's a little bit more midtown. So a little bit further up and in the center of the peninsula. So
this is the city market.
yeah, so with this, they actually changed it where you have to have the shop on the outside of the house. All of your vendors are on the outside. You go up to their windows.
Oh, is that post-COVID that they did that, or?
Yes.
Really?
Alright, so you're going back to that was probably one of the first major things. Very quiet. Either right there, they were, wanted. Because they would advertise big, strong male, 17 years of age, whatever.
Yeah.
If they weren't sold here, they would actually go down to the old Cobble Dungeon.
Okay.
It was kind of like the
I've heard of that, yeah.
Well, if you want activity,
Right.
Cobble Dungeon, for sure. If they weren't sold there, then they would go to the actual slave mart, which is on Palmer Street. Very small building, just pack them in and auction them off. But yeah, they call that the open air market now.
Yeah.
Like the term slave mart is only because all of the paperwork from the customs house and the Provost Dungeon, the offices for that are on the back end of the open air market.
Well, in today's time, we could never even say that. Grave, probably, Oh my gosh.
Slave down here is common.
Right.
I talk about history.
It's history, you can't erase it.
Right.
Well, we're trying.
It's not like
Yeah.
calling people out.
Right. they're open till 11 generally?
Generally, most places are open till 10 minimum, 11 some of them. But there's a great dessert place. You can pass it right there on the corner. That's open, I want to say till midnight or 1, so that gets pretty packed. It's only 1 block away from the water too.
Oh, okay.
So the water's right over here.
Okay,
so the peninsula runs down and around this way.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It's losing my perspective of where are we going?
Once we arrive out, I can give you a little bit more things to look for when you're throughout the city.
Okay.
Yeah, summertime, I'm shoulder to shoulder with other tour guides. Like we're running into
They're
each other.
everywhere.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton of these stories about it. Like, just totally different structure, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, over the time. So these are play bricks that you're walking on. Handmade, hand laid. Obviously the center is set up for drainage. There's obviously a big sewer duct down there. And the city, picture Charleston, the peninsula, it was much skinnier back when this stuff was made.
Yeah.
So those buildings that we can see weren't there.
Yeah.
People used to live down here.
I just stepped on my shoestring as soon as I turned.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I like to, when I have a small group like this, I just kind of tell you the history as we walk through it. But these two buildings weren't here.
Yeah.
So there were little shotgun houses. And I had the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. So I get pretty common names like Benjamin and John.
Okay.
When they show up together, I kind of see if they lived here at the same time. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. They were 2 out of 4 residents, so I have half the residents that show up in one night.
Wow.
The name Jim. That's interesting. It's a pretty common name.
Yeah.
So again, names down here are pretty cool. How's it going, man?
Good, how are you?
Yeah. Nicer night tonight, huh? Not as cold.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Oh my lord.
What is that?
Dealing spiders.
Oh, and it's getting kind of stronger.
Yeah. But yeah, the people that lived here were considered lower class because the low tide smell coming through. Like that's a big deal down here.
Right.
You don't want to be on the beach with low tide. It's horrible.
Yeah.
You have the word disturbing, huh?
You don't want to be on the beach for what?
Low tide. So it's kind of like when the water rolls over and we get the smell of what's on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, and it remains there, yeah.
Right. So it'll actually come through the name penny.
Huh.
The actual word penny. But
neither
at any
of them.
rate, Masons used to meet down here. Like, this. We're actually inside the original Charlestown walls now. So when we passed up the market on Cumberland,
Uh-huh.
and I mentioned Cumberland because that's where we're going to end up. That was the start of the Charlestown walls. So the
It's a
Pinckney Mason
beautiful
site
alley.
was, well, this is a hotel.
Yeah.
So every hotel down here has a claim of a haunting.
Yeah.
This one is room 304. I've had their salespeople on my tours.
What's the name of the hotel?
This is Lodge Alley Inn
Okay.
because of obviously where we're at now. But this is actually one of the oldest streets we have here in Charleston. That's why I like to bring people down it. Sometimes we get the names. It just depends.
I did some reading on some of the hotels, and it's very fascinating. Like the ones that are known to be
Like Meeting Street.
active. Yeah. Yeah.
As we cut through here, we're going to be in a neighborhood. So we're just going to be kind of 3 friends passing through. I'm not allowed to do tour guidey things, but I'm allowed to pass through. But that's St. Philip's Steeple. If you are ever lost down here, that's the tallest steeple we have. So just know that it's 3 blocks away from the water. Just kind of know where you're at.
Yeah, so there's, what's like the tallest building we have?
You're looking at it.
Like the,
Oh, yeah. We're going to go right here.
When Charleston with the metropolitan area was what was it, what seven?
As far as population?
Yeah, population.
We have an ever-growing population coming in. The more you go out, it's all brand new people. Everywhere. I couldn't give you a approximate. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's a lot. Traffic is pretty good.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Not this time of year, though. I would assume it's not as bad.
it depends. So, controls are slow for me. I drive Uber Eats. I remember since I'm 6-figure income, I gotta keep the milestone for a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I drive Uber Eats, and some days, oh my goodness, it's the worst. I won't drive down here at all.
Okay.
I refuse. I drive, like I go to Somerville where I live, and I just drive around my neighborhood.
Okay.
Down here,
Wow. Is it because so many people are visiting?
you get a lot of visitors, but a lot of people live here.
Yeah.
And then you get all the Uber, the regular Uber drivers, with crazy traffic. Because people don't fly down here and they don't have a car, so they use Uber for everything.
Okay. So if you're gonna live in Carlson, probably live on the outskirts of Carlson kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, my wife and I are building a house right now. In the real estate down here.
Yeah.
It's right on. It's just that.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
They don't need a car. They work downtown. They live downtown. Groceries down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a couple more places too. Seems like there's a lot of properties over there too. Oh yeah. The water footholds, things like that. Oh, this is pretty.
What I'll tell you is I normally would take so daytime, nighttime, this is the prettiest spot in all of Charleston. It's the most peaceful. There's pretty stores down here. I'll send you a link. This is called Philadelphia Alley. Easy way to remember that. That's the place where Eliza died.
Oh.
Philadelphia.
Yep. What a dog they just all run across the street?
Two factors right across.
Oh.
We're back up. This is coming. So this is where the Charlestown Wall is.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a lot of stories in the corner.
They'll be talking
No, we'll be fine. Like, this is a great port area. I just stay out of their way.
It's a very old cemetery, right?
Really not to talk, are you, Bob? You're almost just like tagging along, or you're just being a sponge and taking it
He's
all
a
in.
sponge. He's being a sponge, yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So no matter what tour you take, they're all going to bring you to St. Philip's Church. Everyone,
Okay.
they all have, all the ghost tours are going to tell the same story.
Yeah.
But
Oh, we're already here. That's all.
yeah, it's not that fun.
No.
It's going to be very much more than
I know.
the only one working. That's great.
Oh, wow.
That's why the other tours don't like me, because I take their business.
It's a beautiful cemetery.
So, we are at St. Philip's Cemetery. There are two sides to it. So we have, this is obviously the western side, and that would be the eastern. Did I get that backwards? Yeah.
Well, you said the water's that way, right?
Yeah,
so
so-
that would be east, wouldn't it? Or
Western, eastern. No, you're right. Eastern. Is
Really?
it? Yep.
Atlantic
this
is to the
north.
east,
Right.
but
I'm sorry. I got that wrong. My mistake. Eastern?
I
Western.
wouldn't even know right now. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
discombobulated.
Yeah, because this is north.
okay,
So
yeah.
this sign right here
Jeez.
says if there's no ghost at St. Philip's but the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for that.
Oh my god.
They don't want people like us coming in and investigating the cemetery. There's a story behind it. 1888, a young lady by the name of Sue Howard Hardy died 10 days after her stillborn child. 1987, 99 years later, we have a local photographer. He's taking pictures of all the cemeteries. He captures a full apparition.
Really? Oh, I'd
I don't-
love
No
to see it.
way.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I would love to see it.
Well, here's the thing. The picture's cursed. I don't hand it out like some of your other tours
Uh-huh.
will do, because they'll pass around their phone and show it off. Women that hold it start to not feel well. Same symptoms I told you about back at Big John's. Pregnant women do not have a good pregnancy. Her name is Sue Howard Hardy. You want to look it up? Look it at a computer screen. Look it at it on his phone.
Okay.
It's an amazing picture. Now, the interesting thing is we're talking about
But
1987.
that's opening up and just looking at it's not.
Right. You're not holding it. It's not
Okay.
touching it. Well, no cell phone. You'll be holding it.
Oh, okay.
We're
I just wanted to
visual
write
age
the
here.
name down.
Oh, yeah. Sue Howard Hardy. You can't miss it. And that's why you have the recording.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes I take notes on my tours.
in 87, we didn't have cell phones and Photoshop and all that stuff. So what's he
Sue
do to try to
Howard
debunk
Hardy?
it? He sends it to Kodak.
Huh.
Kodak can't debunk the picture. They say, we don't know what this is. But you can see it's a full figure of a woman with that baby basket, with the weave in the basket next to him.
In this cemetery.
Yes.
Really?
On this side. That's why this sign is here. Because they don't want guys like me in here doing all the craziness. But we all do it anyway. So, there's, again, two sides, like I told you. This side that we're standing on is for native Charlestonians. That side is for everybody else. John Calhoun, he's over there. Vice President. He used to be on this side because they thought he was from here. He's not from here.
So they actually unburied him and moved him?
He's in a sarcophagus. So they can pick him up and move him wherever they want to.
Okay.
They did it 3 times because they couldn't figure it out. There was a big debate.
Do you want to hold the camera up to here? Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a little bit of...
Right in here.
Yeah, so I want to say her grave is actually like towards the back. You know, they allow people to come in and tour and walk through. There's a lot of cemeteries like that throughout Charleston during the
I
daytime.
think something happened.
But at night, everything's.
Oh, did it?
Nope, you're good. Don't pay any.
It's just
Well, your
all-
thumb is right in front of the.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah, picking up you.
Oh, there we go.
So
Wow.
this whole corner right here is just chock full of stories. So I'm going to point out a few locations while we're standing here, and you can see them all.
Okay.
Right past this cemetery, you'll be able to see, because we can't go up that far because it's a neighborhood. If you come up here, you can see a gas lamp blinking. That's
Uh-huh.
the other side of the cemetery. So that kind of gives you the
Oh,
gist of how big this
That's a
cemetery
pretty good size cemetery.
It is. Compared to this side. It's definitely much bigger because it's everybody else. So, but that's what we call the pirate house. So there's a whole story that
Heard
ties
of it.
into that.
Okay.
There's actually several. But now that you have a gist of where it is, I like to tell the rest of the stories over here, just in case other tours like to come through. So, but this is Church Street. The reason why it's called Church Street, for obvious reasons,
Yeah. Yeah.
is it used to be called Dock Street. Kind of gives me a 2-minute break from the map too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, long period. I just got back from Universal in Florida right
Oh.
after Christmas. You want to talk about a guy who struggles with a mask? Every hour, I was taking it off. Every hour, I needed a break.
Wow.
All right. So, when this was Dock Street and they were widening the road, the church obviously couldn't move. So when you look at, say, Google Maps now, you could see the circular, the half moon that goes around the church. They renamed it Church Street. We have a theater right past. Let me kind of get. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. So the pirate house that I just showed you.
Yeah.
That's where Blackbeard's men would come in off the ships, meet with a few ladies, have a few drinks, have a place to sleep, and then they dug a tunnel from the pirate house exactly 1 block away over to Dock Street Theater.
Okay.
So, kind of give you the gist. Dock Street Theater was obviously, this was Dock Street, that's why it was named that. Then they turned it into a hotel called Planters. Then we turned it back into Dock Street Theater that we know now.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a little bit of history on that building because the next story will make complete sense now.
Yeah.
So, by the way, there was a rumor that Blackbeard's treasure was buried in that tunnel. We all
Not
know it's
true.
buried in North Carolina,
Yeah.
so somewhere. But anyway, so there was a young lady that worked at the church. Her name was Nettie Dickerson, and Nettie saw what was going on down at Planters Hotel with the prostitution, and she was past the marrying age of 17. She was 23. Nobody wanted to marry her. Did you know the story? Is that where
No,
you're going?
I've never heard of it, but
Okay.
I'm fascinated. Yeah.
So anyway, she sees
Yeah.
all the prostitution. She puts on her best red dress, goes down to Planters Hotel, gets herself a job. She's still not happy. So she used to go out to the 2nd-story balcony and ponder about coming back to the church to work. And one night the priest sees her out there because he's been watching. He goes down there to talk to her to try to come back to the church instead of being a prostitute.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Storm rolls in, lightning strikes the wrought iron banister that she's leaned on, and it strikes her dead. Now,
What? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I know, very short story.
What?
But here's the funny thing about her ghost. You can only see her from the knees up. Planters Hotel turned back into Dock Street Theater. We raised the first floor ceiling. She's walking on the floor that she knows. So she's a very short ghost. Can't see the bottom hem of her dress. Nerds like us had to figure this out based on the history of the place and the building construction.
Oh,
Wow.
we almost stayed there
Stayed where?
at Planters. We almost were going to stay there, and we just had a different price point.
Well, Planters is no longer in existence.
Okay, it's called Planters Mansion or whatever, or it's a place you can stay at down here. Planters. It's a
Because
actual.
it's now
Yeah.
Dock Street Theater again.
Okay.
Yeah, there was something that had a plant something.
It was definitely Planters. Was that name?
I'll have to look into. I don't know that hotel though. I'll have to dive into it.
And it was called Mansion. It was a mansion. Of
Well,
some
there was
sort.
the something else mansion.
Because we have several mansions you can stay at right there on the Battery. There's the carriage house down there. There's the Battery house, Battery carriage house, something along those lines.
Yeah. It's gonna make me want to find.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. But Nettie's ghost is
Yeah, Planters Inn, South Carolina, Charleston. It's
what street is it?
it's like the #1 rated hotel in the U.S. It's a boutique hotel.
Okay.
What street is it
Does
on?
it give you a street?
The Grand Dame of Hotels in Charleston. Their website was tedious. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Here, I'll put it in on mine.
No worries.
like not even-
This is very interesting to me because I don't think I've ever heard of it. 'Cause, you know, I know the
The
history.
Peninsula Grill is located there.
112 North Market. We're 700 feet away from it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. 112
It's considered
North
a very
Market.
historic hotel.
So that would be that way then. Because Market Street's over there. Interesting.
Yeah, and one of the suites is called the St. Philip Suite. I mean, it's just interesting.
Probably why. I wonder if.
It's very pretty looking. I mean, like they have like a little, you know,
It's like a
thing
French
you-
Quarter style.
yeah. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
here it is. We're here.
Hmm.
It's on right there.
So yeah, it's going to be over there,
Really?
right past that garage,
Very
2 blocks up.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 112 North Market. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Oh,
So
something
the
new.
other ghost at Dock Street Theater that you can allegedly see is Junius Booth, the father of John Wilkes Booth,
Oh my gosh.
who shot Lincoln in the theater.
Yeah.
Junius Booth was a traveling actor during the time of the original Dock Street Theater, and this would have been the same time period that Edgar Allan Poe's mother was a traveling actress, but she was a child. So that kind of brings. Do you guys know anything about Charleston and Edgar Allan Poe?
Not really.
So he was stationed at Sullivan's Island, which is one of our islands here, in the Navy as Edgar Perry. Apparently, your Annabelle Lee story, the famous poem, that all occurred right here.
Really?
2 blocks up this way is the Unitarian Church, and that is where Annabelle Lee, not her real name of course, is allegedly buried with an unmarked grave because her father did not want Edgar to find her. Now, have I done an investigation in there? Not with all my cool new stuff. It actually hasn't been open all winter, so I'm sure the wife and I will be down to take photographs and more readings.
What was it like when you were in there at one point?
It's beautiful. It's an overgrown cemetery, so
Okay.
it's very garden-esque. So
Okay.
it has a very botanical feel to it, and it is that
Sounds
way on
beautiful.
purpose. So it's you're going to see if you walk through some of our cemeteries. If you come down in the summertime and spring, like
Yeah.
more of them are open,
Yeah.
so you can walk through them, including St. Philip's. You're going to feel like those paths. They want people to come see.
Yeah.
You know, there's no grave rubbings that you can do anymore. And Magnolia Cemetery, which is on your way
Heard of
into
it.
town, that is the largest cemetery in South Carolina.
Okay.
That has the burial site for the members of the Hunley, the submarine that was found by Clive Cussler. What was it, about 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, something terrible happened to the Hunley. I forget what it was, but
I don't know all the history myself, but I did go visit. There was a geocache there, of
and they
course.
buried all of them there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But you had to figure out, like, there was a year marking on one of the back of the gravestones. It was kind of like, it was a separate headstone where it had a
fun.
base, and on the back side there was a specific number you had to know for the geocache. Sorry, I like to go find
That's
things.
wild. Yeah.
So our last story that we're going to actually investigate with tools that we have. So this is our powder magazine. Again, we're at the very corner of where the Charlestown walls used to meet. So the powder magazine would be just inside the corner, kind of like what you just showed me on the map. That hotel would have been just on the outside. But the powder magazine, it is 3 blocks away from the water. It's 32-inch thick walls, and it's a groin vaulted ceiling. So it has 8 pillars on the outside, one giant in the center, and they all meet with an oval style moon, half moon in the inside. The roof that you see is filled with sand from 1712. This is our oldest government building on the East Coast. Okay, it's not very large, and it's that small little building over there with the crosses on it. We know that the sand is still there because they had to do some repairs in the 90s when they were turning it into a museum that we have now.
Okay, so it's still like
It's still intact. So if the gunpowder would be attacked, the blast would be contained and not destroy the original Charlestown walls. That's why it's built the way that it is. Not to mention, it's 3 feet away, or 3 blocks away from the water. Cannonballs at that time probably would have hit right about where we're standing. They wouldn't have been able to go that far. So it's there on purpose. It's a gorgeous museum. It's very cheap to go through. It's like $5.
And the water's located where?
This way.
Okay, that makes sense now. Okay.
So again, cannonballs would have came this way.
To the west.
Yep.
I'm kidding.
Well, what direction is that again now? You guys were saying? East. Okay, that makes sense.
So
That makes sense.
there's a ghost attached to this building, and it's the only relative. Like, this is the new part of my tour where I told you I would normally take you through that gorgeous alley back there.
Yeah.
So since November, I've been investigating this place, and it has a female pirate attached to it.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
yeah. So, and the only tie that I can really find to her to this building is it's the same time period of when she lived here as a teenager. So it was being finished, 1713, and she left here, I think it was 1716. So she would have been here during the time that it was built. So that's really the only tie that I can find. But her story goes a little something like this. She came from Ireland with her dad. They were leaving because she was an illegitimate child. So her mother was one of the maids for their very prominent home back in Ireland. Well, to escape all of that and stay away from the ex-wife, he moved, the mother and the daughter here. So Anne falls in love with a pirate that's passing through town. Doesn't realize he's a full-on pirate. So his name was Jim Bond. So obviously she takes his name. She gets down to Jamaica and finds another pirate to fall in love with. His name was Calico Jack. So I think I mentioned that name to you at the very beginning. So Calico Jack had his own ship, and she wanted to be part of it. And Calico Jack was on the rise. He was becoming a very prominent guy to be around. So in order to be part of that crew, she had to dress like a maid. So very baggy clothes, and she was pretty good with a pistol and was used to being dressed up like a boy because her dad, to keep the illegitimate child a secret from the ex-wife, used to dress her like a boy and say he was a protege for his law business over in Ireland. So she was used to all of that.
Wow,
But Calico Jack, he brought her on. She's allowed to be a woman in his quarters because she fell in love with him, but she has to be a guy when she's on the crew.
Wow.
And finds another woman doing the exact same thing that she's doing, named Mary Reed. And Mary,
And they're on the same ship?
they're on the same ship.
Oh, gosh.
Not a very big crew. There's only a crew, I think, of like 15 people. So how she got past, nobody knows. But Mary was another illegitimate child. I'm still learning about her story. But Anne, the ship gets taken. The Royal Navy comes in, and they're just taking ship out after ship. And by this time, Blackbeard's already dead. And pretty much John Rackham, Calico Jack, is the last guy. So they take him out, and in order to... Anne was the only one fighting with back, by the way, because all the other guys were too drunk down below to come up and fight. So the ship obviously gets taken, and Anne and Mary, they discover that they're women, and they claim that they're pregnant. Everybody else from the crew gets tried in home. They're dead already, including Rackham. So, with that being said...
Including who?
The captain.
Okay.
Calico Jack. So, I'm sorry, he's got like several names. I'm reading like 5 books right now on this whole story.
Wow.
So they claim that they're pregnant, they're tried, they're convicted, but their hanging is delayed because they claim to be pregnant. Well, Anne's father, who's still pretty prominent in Charleston, bails her out, and Mary gets stuck in jail. She died a year later.
Yeah.
They say Anne lived a nice, healthy life, remarried, had children, the whole 9 yards. Now, the rumor is, there's so many rumors about this, because none of it was really truly documented.
Okay.
So they say that she lived to be 84. She came back to Charleston, and then moved to Virginia. Some say she went back to Ireland.
This was in the
This
17.
17.
1700s?
This was 1720. So November 28th, 2020 was the day I started doing this investigation. I obviously get November 28th. I get the number 300. It was the 300th anniversary of her trial, and I have the documentation from that on that specific day. I get things like drunk. I get bottle all the time while I'm here. I've seen her name pop up. I've seen Save My Child. Now, she did have a child by Jack, Calico Jack, and he made her stay back on land pretty far in Jamaica. He put her with some family to help take care of the baby. But after she had the baby, she went back to join the crew and left the baby behind. So nobody even knows what happened to the baby. So Save My Child makes complete sense. So again, we're going to take a look at this.
That's pretty
We're
powerful.
going to kind of hang out here by the lot, and then we're going to check out the front of it so you guys can see like what it looks like from there.
Okay.
But we're going to spend probably a good, I don't even know where we're at on time. Sorry, when I'm having fun, I don't pay attention.
Oh, it's 8:25.
Look at that. So we're going to spend a good maybe 10 minutes here and
Okay.
kind of see what we get. Ask as many questions as you want. I don't have suggestions other than the stories that I told you.
Okay.
So see what you can gather out of that.
Yeah.
There is some speculation that Ann and Mary were having an affair. The EMF doesn't really do anything here. I've had a couple little blips here,
Okay.
but nothing much. It never comes up on the spirit boxes. So if I get a blip here, I get excited.
Yeah.
I can see why. Yeah.
It's definitely
So we'll
not the
kinda
Pinckney
split up a
Mansion
little
site.
bit.
So the
Okay.
Pinckney Mansion site gives us a ton of activity.
Yeah.
I'll
Wow.
let you listen in. I need a drink. You guys got me talking all night.
I know.
I told you
Okay.
guys gotta shut up as well.
That's okay.
Yeah, this is it's a pretty cool building. And again, I have a season pass here only because they have a library, like a bookstore, of books I can't get around the city. And they obviously give me a discount. And you can imagine I'm a pretty avid reader.
So if someone lives here and has a car here, where do they better either in a place that you have to park in a parking garage kind of
You
thing?
get a monthly pass for a garage like I do.
Yeah.
So I don't live down here,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but I work down here.
Yeah.
So my garage is actually right down the street.
Oh, okay.
And because I'm a tour guide and they give me I'm
that's
paying
nice.
$50 a month versus
Oh, wow.
meters every night.
Oh, that's great.
So, I mean, it's well worth it for me to, like, and it's right down the street. I didn't have to do that in 2020 because the parking meters were free, because the mayor said, let's get more business down here. Don't do anything with the meters.
Yeah.
So I used to tell people all the time, like, if you're going to come down here and park, just take a meter, because they're free. If you can find one near the starting point, great.
Yeah.
But 2021 hit, and I found me a garage, just because I was like, I'm not pumping quarters every night.
So
Right.
2021, they're starting to charge for. Yeah.
But if you look, most of the days, I think it's Monday through Saturday after 6, they're still free.
Yeah.
So as long as it's after 6, I don't want to
That works
risk
out well.
one night. I mean, one night, because I used to park by the Pinckney Mansion site. And one night I'm doing
Yeah.
an investigation with a team, and I see some guy leaning on my car smoking. Get the hell off my car, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh my God.
Like, I beeped it on purpose to kind of scare him, like, get
Yeah.
off my car, and he just kind of sat there. I'm like,
still
that's my
sat
car,
there?
dude. Off. Like,
That's
Wow.
but yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you
Yeah. Yep.
I still got to look into what the back of this building is. I know it's part of all of this, but again, this is a new part of the investigation. When I told you guys about earthquake bolts,
Oh.
they look like this.
right.
So you'll see these on every floor of this building. Some of them you're going to find decorated. You're going to have lions and pineapples and all kinds of things on other buildings.
I've never seen that before.
These
So
ones
how
are
far do they
they go all the way through.
all the way through to the other side?
Correct.
You're kidding.
So it's a
It's a turnbuckle.
structural, huh?
It's a turnbuckle in the flooring. So if earthquakes come in and shake things up again, you just tighten your building back up.
So strange to me.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not going to find these anywhere else. This is a stupid Charleston invention. But
Right.
we thrive on it. Like, we love showing them off.
Yeah.
Because it's
yeah.
so weird.
Like, it is very weird. Yeah. That's
By the way,
funny.
if you're a picture taker,
Oh, no.
Oh.
It's not.
when the full moon's above it, beautiful.
Huh. Getting a bunch of words in there now. What's the name of this building again? Do you want to ask any questions?
What can you tell us about Mary?
Can't get this marking out of that photo. Wow. Have you been getting it? I can't get rid of it. No matter where I'm standing.
I don't get it.
Really?
I'm 2xing it. I'm getting the closer crop from you.
It's still, yeah, it's still there.
You got a word I've never seen before. It's come through.
Okay.
Earthen?
Earthen. That's different.
I'm not even sure I know what that means. Like, just means from the earth or very woodsy type area is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But
And Mary was the main name here.
And Bonnie.
And Bonnie.
Mary Reed was the friend that she found on the ship.
Okay.
What is it? Anne. Okay.
And that was pretty much the last of the pirates. The Golden Pirates. I'm not a big pirate person. I'm learning so much freaking pirates these past few weeks reading all these books. Like,
That's fascinating to me.
but all the stuff that they did and the way they did it and why they did it is what's fascinating to me.
Yeah?
And there was actually more black pirates than there were white pirates.
Really?
And they used to call those gentlemen mulattoes because a lot of them would be mixtures. They would be the, I guess the product of a white male with one of his slaves, and they were called mulattoes. They just weren't captains. That's why you don't hear about them. But there were no black pirates in that world.
Yeah. Wow.
And they say Blackbeard was actually a mulatto.
Okay.
Oh, Blackbeard?
And his real name was Edward Teach. That's my notification sound. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, this is a very interesting place.
Do you ever ask the basic question, even though it's a yes or no, is there anyone here with us that would like to communicate?
I change it up to, if there is somebody here with me, tell me what your first name is.
Oh, that's better, yeah.
Yeah, I just change it up. There's always a way to change it up.
Right.
Oh, and these are earthquake bolts too, by the way. Those big boxes you see?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'll show you guys the front of the building. Maybe you can get some good stuff up there. And where are you guys going after hanging out with me?
We're going to probably get a little light bite somewhere.
Okay.
Going still early enough for this.
Down here?
About-
You're still
Yeah, probably somewhere between down here and...
Yeah, I don't know what's right over here, so.
If you work on here, you're going to drop 40 to 50 bucks a plate. Just so you guys know.
Yeah.
That's why I usually ask, where can I direct you?
Yeah. Yeah, we'd probably just pick some kind of a small sports pub kind of thing, or,
That would be Max. So we passed it. Remember I pointed out the candy store?
Yeah.
It was the next block past the market. So coming from here is going to be before the market.
Okay. This is very cool. Look at that. Wow.
So this is obviously the front. There was never any prisoners here. There was never any gallows, whatever. So don't pay any attention. It's all for show.
It's all for show.
But they used to do investigations here, like kind of like what we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
Tour guide involved, just here because apparently that presence of Anne Bonny is that strong. So I was like, I better add the powder magazine
Is
into
this
this.
local paranormal investigators?
No, tour guide. There would be a tour guide in here doing what I'm doing, but apparently it didn't last very long. So apparently they're not as cool as me and continue working.
Okay.
But yeah, they would do those investigations just here.
Now, would they just be outside or?
Inside too.
If you were inside,
And again, it's not a very big building.
No.
that would be cool to do.
So this, and I've been in here with all of my gear. So I told you when I go and that's on silent. The camera that Bob's holding, and by the way, is that still recording? You have a circle or a square? We're about to wrap up anyway. Okay, yeah, you're still
you're good.
But that would actually go in my cargo pocket to where the camera's just sticking out, so I still get the view of everything. And then, of course, my phone's doing its thing on my clip.
Yeah.
So it's still I still get all the data I need. I just review it all later. That way I can read panels. I can enjoy the museum where I'm at.
Yeah.
The Provost Dungeon, I can pay attention to the tour
It's
guides.
easy to miss things if you're.
Right, and I carry this bag, so I'm recording the whole thing too,
Yeah,
so I can always go back for the references.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. They just got the word birds. I don't know if it's going to be any relevance of any kind. Riot and then birds.
I like that upgrade. That's really cool. That you can see the history list of what you have.
I like the
Actually, do you have it
tinfoil
too?
windows.
I don't think I have that.
Yep,
Just
it
what
comes with it.
button are you hitting to do that?
The little, go ahead and pull it up.
Okay.
I'll show you. Just to hit the little calendar next to
Oh,
it.
really?
And then what's cool is when
Oh.
we're done, I'm going to hit export and send it to my email and just copy paste the whole
So
list.
in this parking lot, I didn't tell you, I got Dwindle, Vile, Godno, and Van,
Okay.
and then Score, which I've never had those words before. So it was interesting, but and the EMF thing kind of was getting read at that point
Yeah.
on this app, but I don't know how much.
Well, I don't even take this
Huh.
as an EMF. Like
Oh,
this,
or whatever, yeah,
This is more like it's
what is
picking
that
up a
reading?
stronger signal because these are all like
Something.
FM signals.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
not the actual stations, but the signals that they're
The
coming
signals that are
through.
coming through on.
And if it finds a stronger signal, that's when it starts to go up in the red.
That's
like
what
I don't
I-
even pay attention to this.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know
like-
what that meant.
And even like this guy down here, I don't do anything with it. I go straight to this, and as I go back to my car,
Mm-hmm.
I export it so I don't forget and have it for you guys in the morning. And then I add all that to the
Okay.
data.
Nice.
Okay.
So
That's fascinating.
I mean, when we were at Madison, there was like one room that we went to, and this thing, it went all the way.
Yeah.
And it didn't last the whole time we
One
were
of
there.
like that
but-
room, I think we got things like Get Out, and it was not real pleasant. Like it was one of those things that
And if-
we'd go back later and get the same thing. It was the strangest. It was
I
very.
mean, if it's repetitive every time you
it
go
was
there, then yeah,
interesting,
then
and
that's intelligent. But I mean,
it seemed that way.
that's why I say 80% of it's BS. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
anything.
I don't take
like
it
the word
too-
shift. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do anything with shift.
No.
Do you know what I
no.
mean? Like, it
yeah,
doesn't make
you
any
kind of get
sense.
to know.
Yeah, especially the
Depending
same stuff you see over and over and over. again.
Yeah. Or you hear a word that you just said or something. Or you see a word that,
Oh, there's
yeah.
that other little flashlight. My daughter usually comes on the tours, and she'll help out with like the flashlights when we go
nice.
into the app.
Oh yeah.
And what's funny is most of the stuff used to be hers. And
Uh-huh.
when I left my retail career, I'm like, give me your stuff back.
Yeah.
Dad's got a new idea. I'm gonna start collecting at this point. And
Okay,
then get
cool.
you guys my card.
All right,
and then
awesome.
Maybe I can help you
And
guys.
what's the name of the place you suggested checking out?
It's called Max.
Max's.
Max.
It's like
M-A-C
Max.
MAC.
apostrophe S.
So go down a couple of blocks and then.
Yeah, once you
hang a
reach
left.
the street light, I gotta walk down that way from my garage. So,
I just like I have some semblance of disorientation down here. It's 'cause
Yeah.
we just
It's-
got here and I'm like, I don't know where I'm at.
yeah, that's what happens in a new city. So I'll definitely give you guys my card so you can check
Awesome.
out the website ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then
I'm not sure how to turn that off.
that's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Perfect. I'm like, what is
Well,
this?
you gotta again the people that I get on this tour, they have no idea what to do.
Well, yeah.
So I try to make everything as basic and as simple as I possibly can.
Right.
And then I have a million questions, and I have people that don't tell me that I need to split.